Well, my because is to give back. I became a therapist to give back to the community, and while I'm not giving back in the traditional way, I'm giving back by lending an effective ear. Not only am I listening to individuals, but I'm helping them navigate through difficulties in life. Well, first, I was shocked to get Employee of the Month. Being with the company for about 4 months, I was real shocked and surprised. And to me, being Employee of the Month means that the company sees something in me. They see that I'm carrying out their values and their missions, and it shows that I'm doing an effective job as a counselor.
So my because has transitioned throughout the years. Initially it was to decrease the stigma on a micro scale, but now it's more towards a macro scale. I love to pour into people, I love to pour into staff so that they can ultimately affect and address any issues and concerns of people and to help heal. So I was shocked again. It is a huge blessing and an honor, because it's all about serving. I think at the end of the day, when people move up in the chain of command, as they say, they think that people just sit on their high horse. No, it's about being more of a servant, just in a different capacity. So I appreciate anybody just seeing all the work that I put in, and I just appreciate BTST for keeping me along with this wonderful ride.
Ozzie Newsome, his final first-round selection.
Hello.
With the 25th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Hayden Hurst.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Okay, I know it's an exciting time. I feel like you're emotional, but you know, hey, you've worked hard to get to this point.
Baseball was always everything to me. You know, I was All-American, played it year-round, and you know, I was a baseball player. I didn't really play football a ton in high school. Played only 1 year, but you know, baseball pretty much meant everything to me. The baseball draft was kind of crazy. You know, I thought I was going to go a lot higher than what I went. I ended up getting picked in the 17th round to Pittsburgh. You know, my dad's family's from up there. But yeah, I mean, it was a dream come true. And then, you know, when I got there, my first season was pretty good, and then, you know, everything kind of unfolded after that.
So my name is Dr. Daniel Zimmett. I'm a licensed psychologist and a certified mental performance consultant, which is another way of saying a sports psychologist. The yips are actually a little bit poorly understood. There's a few different kinds of them, but for the athlete, it's the experience of losing the ability to perform a motor movement, usually a fine motor movement, that had previously been able to have been conducted with excellence. So usually these are highly elite or experienced athletes, and they lose the motor control to be able to perform a function that they had otherwise been able to perform with superiority their whole lives.
It started after my second season. I was just kind of thrown in the outfield and overthrew a kid, and then overthrew him again. You know, I heard some comments from people, and you know, I started doubting myself. And then as soon as I started doubting myself and that creeped in my head, you know, it kind of went to my hand, and my hands would get sweaty and they would shake, and then I just completely lost control of it after that. So, you know, I figured, you know, maybe a week at a time, you know, it'll go away after this week, it'll go away after this week, and then 3 years later, it never went away, and I still really haven't put my finger on what happened to this day.
Oftentimes, the yips will develop when you have seasoned and experienced athletes, and there's a period of either an injury they're trying to come back from, or there's a period of heightened stress, or a situation that occurs. So for some, there might be, like the incident with Hayden would be a thrown ball that strikes a player. It could be an overthrown ball. Have a situation in baseball, you tend to see it with second basemen, pitchers, and catchers. So there's a touch that has to come with it. If you think about an incident that occurs in front of 25,000 fans and the way that fans tend to respond to an incident, that's when the anxiety can start to come in and the thinking can start to come in. And so then there's this cascade that occurs where the thinking starts, you have already this muscular issue, and then coming back from that can be very difficult.
So spun my wheels for 3 years down there in Sarasota, in Bradenton area, and just kind of lost my love for the game. And I was sick and tired of baseball. I was kind of over it. So I made the call to South Carolina. I wanted to go back and play football because, I don't know, when I was in high school, even though I only played 1 year, I never really thought of football as like a monetary, game as I did baseball. It was kind of fun. I would just cut it loose, and I was pretty good at it. So I figured, why not try it? I went there in a leap of faith, and it's taken me to where I am now. Football's kind of given me a second chance at life. I felt like I had baseball taken away from me, and I still don't really know why, but I feel like that fueled me, in my football career.
This was a guy who was a great baseball pitcher in the Pirates draft, 17th round pick in the MLB draft, but then all of a sudden he shows up and he can't throw the ball over the plate.
And we've heard of it before, the yips, right? Whether you're a putter or throwing a baseball or whatever. Here's a guy that threw 97 miles an hour. So he got all kinds of attention, got the yips, went to all the shrinks, did all the stuff, never could get over it, comes back and decides, well, let me try football.
Family's always been my support system. Whenever baseball started going awry, I could always call home, and they were there. They've always been there for me to lean on them. And they were supportive when I stepped foot on campus at South Carolina up until, spending time with me in Baltimore. They're retired now, so, whenever I make a phone call home, they're always, able to drop what they're doing and come see me.
My name is Kathy Hurst, and I am the Vice President of the Hayden Hurst Family Foundation. And so we formed the foundation to be able to help bring more awareness and understanding and not being afraid to talk about mental health. We are excited to partner with BTST Services because of the mission that they have and the fact that they're very centered in the Baltimore area. And with Hayden being drafted by the Baltimore Ravens, we wanted to make sure that the community understood we wanted to give back and help the people of the Baltimore area. The Hayden's Crucial Catch is so exciting because I know Chris came up with the idea from BTST Services, and we were trying to come up with something that would represent Hayden and his number of 81. And so we're excited about the Crucial Catch campaign because we're going to be able to help and provide 81 sessions to hopefully approximately 20 adolescents and student athletes in the Baltimore area with getting the mental health services that they need that maybe they can't afford or don't have the insurance to provide for it.
My name is Chris Simon, and I am the CEO of BTST Services. We knew that Hayden's focus was student athletes. We leveraged some of the relationships that we had and connected with people that we've worked with in the community for a while at some of these schools to identify 3 schools that we wanted to partner with. Students from these schools will be able to join us on a press tour when Hayden is going to come to these 3 schools, and myself will be on stage and we'll be discussing Hayden's story, his struggles with mental health, and then just the pressures of being a student athlete and how that can impact your mental health. And then from there, students will be able to enroll in the program to submit applications to be a part of the program, which our clinical team will select the 20 students that we will accept into the program.
My name is Jada McCray, LCSWC Executive Director for BTST Services. There are some areas of Baltimore where there is just urban blight, and there's no other way to put it. And so everybody knows, if you've watched the national news, that we have 300 plus murders a year. And I think that sometimes what we forget is that those murders are people. They're not just statistics. So those are cousins and brothers and sisters and mothers and fathers, and lately little children as well. At BTST, we're so excited about Hayden providing the 81 sessions for the youth in Baltimore City, because it's giving them a chance. It's giving them an opportunity to have access to treatment that they wouldn't have otherwise had. And so what he's doing is he's gifting a fresh start to these people. He's gifting a fresh start to these students. And the best way that you can, when you've experienced something as traumatic as what Hayden experienced, and a loss of a future and having to recreate a future, to then share that with other people who may have also felt as if they lost their futures, that is the biggest blessing that you can do to someone.
What Hayden experienced, I think, in going through the yips was an awareness of how hard it is to necessarily find the help you need, the ways that people sometimes think about those who need mental help. There's that old joke, if you need to see a shrink, you should get your head examined. And that sentiment, unfortunately, still remains prevalent. And so what Hayden's done is he's really brought increased awareness to the fact that you really can get help. There should be no shame involved in it. Almost everybody goes through periods of struggle in their life. And if you're smart, you're going to end up going to people who are expert in being able to work through those issues.
Encouraging others to get involved in the foundation, and our website is the Hayden Hurst Family Foundation. So you can go out to that website, and there's all kinds of wonderful information about Hayden's story and his background, but also talks about what we're trying to accomplish. And you can donate to the website, on the website. You can also email us, and we'll be glad to contact you and provide you any information we can.
Hey guys, this is Hayden Hurst. I need you to go online and check out our website and see the great work that we're doing. And if you feel inspired by this, please feel free to donate.
Lots of mistletoe, lots of snow and ice, everywhere we go. Choir singing carols right outside my door. All these things and more. Oh, that's what Christmas means to me, my love. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you know what I mean.
What's going on, y'all? We're here at the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation Benefit Dinner, and we're live in the You Got This Lounge. And with me, I have my partner, Jada McCray.
Hello, everyone.
I'm Chris Simon. But the person y'all actually came here and probably logged on to see is my guest here on the sofa today, Mr. Raji P. Henson. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm awesome. So earlier, I was allotted the opportunity to come up on Capitol Hill with you as you talked about the suicide rates, as you talked about the issues for the the need for black mental health in these urban communities. I want to talk, and now we're here kicking off the conference at the benefit dinner and then the 2-day conference tomorrow. Talk to me about how do you feel about the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation, the work that you guys are doing for the conference, and why DC?
Well, DC, because this is my hometown, and it's also where Capitol Hill is. This is where but you get the politicians on your side.
So when you say hometown,
Born and raised.
Southeast?
Southeast.
Okay.
Southeast.
Mumbo sauce?
Mumbo sauce.
All right, Mo.
But you know, I'm in Chicago now, so I like that mild sauce. But I
Mild
stopped
sauce?
eating chicken anyway, so it's fine.
Okay.
But you know, I love my city. I love where I'm from, and you know, why not DC? Why not my hometown?
Awesome. Yeah, we're right up the road in Baltimore, and we do a lot of work in PG. We have an office in PG County and Lanham. So when I found out that you were doing it in DC, I was like, wow. For me, I was like, this could be the CBC of mental health. You know what I mean? What are your goals for the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation going forward?
First thing is, right now what I'm loving is the awareness. People are feeling more comfortable talking about it. You know, what I talked about on the Hill today was making mental health a part of our children's curriculum, because we can teach sex education, physical education, math, science. Why don't we teach them about their mental? If they start talking about it at school, we assign them with homework. It's only going to affect home, because now, mommy, we got to talk about this. You know, and so something that has been so taboo for so long, generation after generation, now we expose it. And exposing is not a secret. It's not anything bad. You know, we're so quick to talk about our other illnesses. Why can't we include our mental?
Absolutely. And now a lot of celebrities have come forward and they've shared their stories about mental health, but not everyone has started a foundation. That's a lot of effort. What made you decide to establish the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation?
Out of necessity. I just, you know, when my son and I, we needed to get help because his father was murdered here in DC, and my father died 2 years later, and that's traumatic. And for both of us, and because now I'm left alone to raise this black boy. What do I tell him? You know,
a too common story.
Right. So when it was time to look for someone that I felt comfortable speaking to, certainly my son would feel comfortable being vulnerable in front of, it was like looking for a unicorn. I can't put it any better. A purple unicorn with a 15-karat gold horn. Like, it was impossible. Not that they don't exist, it's just that they're not easily accessible. And that was a problem for me, because I have a lot of white friends, and they have standing appointments every week. And it's like, well, what's wrong with us? How come we don't have? So then I talked to my best friend, Tracy Jenkins, who...
She's awesome.
Isn't she?
She's super awesome.
She's my best friend since the 7th grade. But she runs my foundation. She's the executive director, and we started doing research. The number of black psychiatrists, psychologists, and therapists was so low. And that's because we don't talk about it at home. So the first thing I wanted to tackle was just to make it a conversation. Why are we not talking about this? You know? It's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I believe that everybody suffers from some form of anxiety. You see what's going on in the world?
Absolutely.
You know?
So we at BTST, we have 2 black psychiatrists.
Yes.
Dr. Boyer will be on a panel with you tomorrow. I'm excited about that. But what I want to so you labeled this "Can We Talk?" That's my Tevin Campbell song.
Yes.
I'm having tongue tie. Maybe I'm a little nervous. But no.
Use your coping skills.
She's talking to me like a therapist that she is. But no, so Can We Talk is the name of the conference. So can we talk for just a second? I want to ask you a certain question, a little bit, maybe slightly more personal. You've played many roles, whole gamut, and you've done a wonderful job doing them.
Thank you.
And you have to get into character a lot of times, right? Because some of the roles that you've played aren't who you are on a daily basis. And you find a lot of actors, they have to own these roles, and they go so deep to become these roles, right? That sometimes it's hard to switch it off.
Yeah.
Like you see, like Heath Ledger, he committed suicide after playing the Joker. And then Michael B. Jordan talked about how you needed to go to therapy after playing Killmonger. Talk about how you get in character and get out of character without losing yourself.
That's something I trained myself to do, because in the beginning, before I garnered my skills, my tools and things that I needed to be the actress that I am, you throw yourself in. It's like, I gotta do this all the time. And then it was like, I really don't. You know, I am trained in this, so I literally have a switch that I can turn on and off, and that's for my mental. Everybody can't do that, but that's how I work. I can't stay in a character all the time. I need Taraji to breathe.
Yeah.
You know, because if I'm not being Taraji, then I have no riches to bring back to the character. So it is imperative that, and I think being a single mother helped me with that, because I couldn't go home talking about don't call me nothing but Yvette. My son would be like, my son would be like, who is Yvette? You know, so.
You know who Yvette is, Jody.
Right. So, you know, I had to, I learned that, and I think being a mother forced me to do that. Because when I crossed that threshold, it was homework, what am I eating? I got school tomorrow, PTA, you know, so I couldn't stay in that character.
Compartmentalizing it.
Absolutely. It's work.
And I'm sure that it's not even getting in character, just when you are in the public light all the time, you have to get yourself up to make sure that you don't come across any type of way. You're making sure you have the great energy around people. And I know,
try,
like me,
but I'm human. And sometimes it's just you're not gonna get.
Yeah, but then when you get home, you find like, I can just crash and everything. So I'm pretty sure, you know, that it's not even just getting enrolled.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough when you just want to go to the store and, because I still like, I mean, I have assistants, but I like to stay grounded. I still like to get my own produce. I know what I want my lemon to look like, you know? And so it's a bit frustrating when I just want to go buy my produce and then but that comes with it. And it's just how I maneuver. I walk in my truth. If I don't feel like taking a picture, I'm not going to take a picture. You know, you gotta give me a chance to be human. You know, and I understand at the same time this person's like, well, when am I ever gonna get this chance again? But it's not like I said, meet me at Whole Foods on 9th and F Street at this time. I'm signing autographs. So you have to allow, you know, it's give and take from the fans and myself.
It's crazy because I'm a trained professional. I've been a therapist for a long time. But when I walked through the door and I saw you, I felt like I saw someone that I knew. I had to check myself, like, you don't know her, calm down, you know? But so I know it must be difficult for other people as well. I'm so happy that you're doing everything that you're doing with mental health. For the Boris Lawrence Foundation, what are you going to do beyond the conference? What is the goal, and how can we donate if we want?
Well, you can donate right now. If you text, can we talk to 41444, any donation is grateful. I mean, we're just honored that you care. And what was the other question? You can also go to, you can also go to BorisLHensonFoundation.org to donate. But now, what was the next question?
Your mission going forward. How can we keep this momentum going?
We're tackling recidivism in the prison systems because, you know, half of the prison population being Black. I think that's an inaccurate. I think it's even more than half. They suffer from mental issues. And so if you don't deal with those mental issues going into the penitentiary, chances are when you come out of prison, you're going to end up right back there. And we all know that prison is not where you go for reform or to rehabilitate. So that's something we're tackling. Giving scholarships to young African Americans who are interested in this field, because we have to close that gap. We need more therapists who are culturally competent. The awareness, scholarships, and right now we're already in urban schools in DC, and we're going across the country. We're painting positive images and positive reinforcements in the bathrooms where children are going nowadays to cut. They're being bullied in these bathrooms, and we're just, I know it seems small, but you have no idea what visual stimulation can do for your mental.
Yeah, I heard you talk about that earlier today, and I was like, wow. You know, because those bathrooms were dark and stuff like that. Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate everything that you're doing, and in addition to those things, connecting people who can't afford or who wouldn't have access to mental health services with therapists and stuff like that. And BTST is excited and happy to be your regional partner to provide those therapeutic services. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And so please, everybody that's watching this right now, like she said, go donate. We need you guys to donate. It doesn't matter if it's $5, $10, $10,000 is good too. But whatever, whatever you want to donate,
20
please.
million! No, I'm kidding.
$20 million!
All the lives we can save.
But no, honestly, they're doing phenomenal work connecting individuals with mental health services. So please, your donation goes a long way. We run a mental health organization. We know what it takes to run an organization, how difficult it is, the decisions that have to be made. and how we like to provide services and all the extra fees that don't even, or extra expenses that don't even make the scene that go into providing these services. So please donate. Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation. What else can they text for it?
They can text, "Can we talk?" to 41444.
Awesome. I know you got a lot to do. You have other people to see. You got a dinner happening. Then we got a concert downstairs with a guest performer and everything like that. So we'll let you go.
Thank
you very much for being here.
Both of you.
Thank you so much for your work you're doing too.
Thank you.
Thank
It takes a village.
Can we get the photo real fast?
Are we still live?
Oh.
Are we taking the picture?
So what I really like about the culture here at BTST, from an administrative stance, we really care about the work that our clinicians do. And we care about making sure that when they come in the door, they leave knowing much more. That's why we offer various CEUs, different types of trainings, and just really work to make sure all of our therapists here are equipped to be able to handle the care of the clients that we serve.
The majority of my day is spent typically seeing clients. I'll see, depending on the day, it could be anywhere from 2 to 5 or 6 clients a day, doing therapy sessions. Additionally, I may be making phone calls on a daily basis. It's kind of different every day, which is great because you're never the same and it's never boring.
BTST Services has an amazing culture. We love the work that we do and we have fun doing it. We work hard, but we also play hard.
There's also a lot of opportunities. I'm learning a lot about working in different communities, working with different populations, just becoming better overall as a therapist.
BTST Services is the place for you. We teach you how to do therapy, we teach you how to do the work, we teach you all the things that you need to know here, and I promise you'll have a great experience if you come work here with us.
BTST Services, we want you if you are hardworking, dedicated as a clinician, and want to impact our community. So go to our website, www.btstservices.com, click on employment opportunities, and submit your application.
They just posted that the Charlemagne book.
Yeah, I heard it's
coming out on late October now. I think like the 23rd. And we were just talking about it in the meeting, so I think this might really be something that we should really think about doing.
If I'm coming into a part of his book tour, I'm gonna stop in Baltimore.
Okay.
I'll put together an event. I'll leverage the Black Mental Health Alliance. I'll leverage my relationship with Morgan, our organization, and our other organizations of people that we know. In addition to Charlemagne just being a celebrity, but we're gonna try to bring out a lot of the mental health people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We need a place though that's gonna be like, that's gonna be able to hold a lot of people. Cause
yes, but Morgan State University.
I could.
Oh, hey, Rob, how are you? Cool. Charlemagne's people. It's approved. It's loaded. It's done.
Are you serious?
Done.
Are you serious?
Done. Done.
Oh,
one big thing. I'm bringing Charlemagne to Morgan for social work. And so, that's Charlemagne from the Breakfast Club. Dr. Boyer handled like the Q&A part.
Okay.
So me and Jada will have the conversation.
We've done this before. We're gonna do some rapid fire. First thing that comes to your mind, boom. Like you said, best radio show. It might be the best radio show, Breakfast Club, and then whatever stuff like that. Maybe Jay-Z or Nas. You know what I'm saying? Right. Aaron Maven's gonna be doing some spoken word, and then we have to do. You guys familiar with those drummers that were on Ellen called A1 Chops? So they're performing at the show as part of the pre-show as well. At Morgan State University. We're going to be sitting down talking about his new book, Shook One, Anxiety Playing Tricks on Me. And we're going to be talking about his book, Breaking the Stigma Related to Mental Health. Bringing Charlemagne the God.
See the God?
See the God. Next Friday, Morgan State University, December 7th, Charlemagne the God. Should go purchase to read more about anxiety and to break the stigma related to mental health?
The Bible. Shook One, Anxiety Playing Tricks on Me.
Awesome, awesome. Charlemagne the God, everyone, we want
It just could happen, yo.
It ain't could happen. This joint gonna happen, bro.
Yes, we do.
A lot of times we don't like to talk about what we feel, right? We like to talk about how we look, but we don't like to talk about how we feel inside, right? Like it's something like we're scared to be vulnerable. We're scared to expose ourselves. We need to have this platform where we can talk about how we feel, talk about what's going on with us, and it don't make us weak, right? It makes us powerful because we're able to express what's going on with us and be able to get the adequate help. And adequate help doesn't look like a straitjacket walking down a white hallway or being impatient. Right? That's not what help looks like all the time. Help could be you meeting with a counselor who's talking to you about what it is that you have going on, how you felt about that, because we all have feelings. But the more we embrace it, the more we understand it, the more we don't allow it to have power over us.
We are taught that being selfish is a bad thing. Right? Being heartless is a bad thing. You know what I mean? The word selfish has this negative connotation to it. Really all selfish is if you take the ish out and you give it a space and you add another word. It's the same exact thing. Self-preservation. Most mental health situations has a lot to do with their lack of self-preservation. I'm worried about what other people say about me, or I'm worried about what other people think, and I'm worried about what they're gonna do, and I'm worried about their perception of me. Once you get to a place where that doesn't matter, your mental health will be much better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I get it.
A lot of it is self-inflicted, you know what I mean? And we don't even know we're doing it, because society, you know what I mean, creates this thing where we feel like we gotta fall in line with certain things, you know what I mean? But self-preservation. I'm not saying it's the cure, but I'm saying it's a start. It's a start.
Well, people forget too that CIAA was one of the places that revolutionized day parties.
Not revolutionized, started. Started, like seriously. So, 100% sure. Period. So,
I know I'm not the only one that watched that Frackaneckle Bull with R. Kelly on Lifetime. Did y'all see that? Frackaneckle Bull. That's the only way that I can describe it. I felt
the anger that I felt when watching that, that documentary, because I have a daughter. I got a 23-month-old daughter, so.
Oh, congratulations.
Appreciate that. If I could not fathom being in that type of situation and having something like that happen to my daughter and my family. So I can't understand, I don't know if it's something from a mental health standpoint or psychological, but it's R. Kelly in our household is banned.
I wasn't even gonna watch it. I only watched it because I knew I was coming here. Because I already knew that he was trashed 20 years ago.
Yeah, he's been trashed. I mean, all of us heard the rumors. Some people saw the videotape. But I think that when you watch the special night after night, and then person after person after person after person, over and over and over again with the same story of manipulation, control, and physical and sexual and emotional abuse, it just kind of became undeniable after that. Like, I don't know, I kind of was done after night one. But I kept watching it like, this can't be worse.
But I'm wondering who didn't know this though. That's what's mind-boggling. It's like, I'm happy that people are fired up about it now. But for me, I'm like, I've been known this. Everyone's been known this. Why are we acting like we're just like finding out now?
You know, the problem is with R. Kelly is we save you, but you come back as the average fan, the fan that supported you, the fan that bought the album, the tickets for years. You came back and did the same thing we told you not to. We told you don't date the young girls. He's popping up with 19-year-old girlfriends. We told you don't do this, don't do that. You got girls coming out saying I'm locked up in the basement. Jesus, like what's going on? Everything is a big mystery, and guess what? He doesn't say nothing.
There's a time when it becomes insult to injury. It's one thing for your loved one to go through hardship, but it's another thing for your loved one to go through hardship and that person is not being held accountable. Instead, they are being celebrated. And that's what we did to R. Kelly. He committed a crime and continued to commit multiple crimes. And instead of us holding him accountable for one, we celebrated him.
But this type of stuff happens every day in households, you know what I mean? Across America, like, have you guys ever experienced or seen somebody or heard somebody like messing with underage people, or whether it be a man messing with an underage girl, or a man messing with an underage man or woman, or vice versa? You know, it happens often. What has been?
It's such a double standard because right now, if I walk in this room right now and there's a little young girl in here, and she's, I don't know, let's just say she's 10 years old, long hair, beautiful, and I say to her, oh girl, when you grow up, I'm gonna get you. I'm looked at as the worst pedophile preying on a young girl, correct? But in the black household, at least where I grew up at, it was always the older lady who looked at the younger boy like, you're gonna be a heartbreaker when you get older, boy.
Think about when you were 13. When you're 13 and 14, the only thing you want to be is grown.
Right.
You know, and you want the world to see you as grown.
I remember sneaking eyeliner to school. And my father came up to the school. It was like, what's that on your eyes? I was like, oh, just like that.
I had the sweater on,
right,
with the crop top under.
Right, yeah.
I was like, they'll never know.
They do. Right. They do. But even before social media, you know, you would hear stories about mothers with boyfriends that came onto the, you know, the young girl, and mothers not willing to believe it or willing to brand their daughters a liar. Right. Like, why is it? I just don't get this. What is it about young black girls in particular? Remember a couple of years ago with the Find Out Girls campaign when we found out it was like dozens of girls missing in the DMV area? Hundreds. And like nobody did anything about it.
They didn't care about the black girl.
Race plays a factor in the ways in which women and young girls are treated in the media, not just when it comes to sexual exploitation, but when it comes to things regarding violence or crime. A few years ago, a police officer pinned down a young black girl at a pool party in Texas, and the outcry that came from people who were non-people of color was she should have just listened to a police officer. A lot of times when it comes to crimes, the first thing that is looked at is your skin color, unfortunately, and the color of your skin often determines what and how you are treated by law enforcement. So that's something that we need to face, and we need to face it head on. It's not just R. Kelly. If you watch any mainstream outlet, you see the ways in which these people are depicted. So yes, race plays a factor, and it's not in a positive way.
Contradicts the entirety of American history. Of course these girls are not valued. They're not valued any more than their mothers or fathers were valued. They're not lost. They don't exist. One of my favorite Snick songs, I said, what made you write the Ballad of Medgar Evers? And what made you write In the Mississippi River? Because in that song, those young people, they say, you know, they found them with their heads cut off, with their hands tied. And they sing the names, in the Yazoo River, in the Tallahatchie River. They naming them, in the Mississippi River. Why? Because you went looking for those two white boys, and then you found us. She said, you know when I thought about that song? When they went into Rock Creek Park looking for Chandra Levy, and they found all the black bodies they never went looking for, the homeless people, and the people, those people not valuable? So of course black girls are not valuable. They're not human beings in America, never have been. They have never been human in America. And they will never matter in America until we make them matter.
I was thinking about how gross it is, society's obsession with fame. You know, because, you know, as big as R. Kelly was, like in the 90s and the early 2000s, a lot of this stuff was going on when he kind of cooled off some. You know, so it's like, it's not like he's the guy at the top of the charts. He's now the old dude with the leather jersey that say Chi-Town on it, with a mask on, but yet you still got people who are like doing anything and everything in their power to be next to this person. And I was like, man, it's crazy. And my big takeaway was how everybody on the internet and everybody that I know is acting like canceling his shows and stopping his streaming is going to fix the problem. Like nobody's talking about getting this man help.
What was interesting to me about the Surviving R. Kelly piece was how cavalier they were about going to get girls from the high school. Like, and what was interesting was these guys who helped him get girls from the high school said it like, I was just doing what he asked me to do. Right? I didn't check no IDs. So I know guys whose egos were so small that when they come home from college, the first place they go is not to college, they go to the high school.
I was thinking about that.
So
Facts.
Because cats gotta feed ego.
I'm the man.
So sometimes it's not a sexual sickness. Sometimes it's such a low ego that where can I go to feed the ego?
When I was at that 16, 17 age, like when men would be trying to talk to you, but they don't really ask your age. And so I feel like you've already kind of talking to them on the phone and things like that. And you're at the age, you're at 16, you don't want to tell your mother you're talking to like a 22-year-old. Exactly. Even though like now you're like, oh, it's not that big of a difference as adults, like they gap there. But when you're 16, what are you going to do? Or when you're 22, what are you going to do with a 16-year-old? Like, what can a 16-year-old offer you? Like, you know, we're not even on the same wave.
That's oftentimes what is missing in our community is that we don't have those father figures or the uncle figures. They're there, but they might not be giving the real to our girls.
Comfortable with having the conversation.
Yes.
That's what we have to be.
And having the conversation in a way that respects this young lady. Not in a way that's like, oh, don't be fast, don't be hoish, don't do this, but more so like I know you're going to be dating and I know that you're going to be seeing this young man, but know that this is what he wants or this is how you should be courted, and actually have a conversation.
A real conversation about a realistic view about female sexuality.
Yes, and what a relationship is, not how not to be a hoe. Because that's their biggest fear.
Why is that the biggest
how
goal
not to
in life
be a
to not
hoe.
be a hoe?
Please don't raise like,
how many reformed hoes do we know that went on to live good lives?
That is the biggest fear.
I don't know.
I'm a parent of two daughters. Both are still in their teens. So hearing the narrative about exploitation of females is very unsettling. It's not one that I ascribe to. I talk against it, which is why I used his language in class to talk about how one should never allow their lower self to govern and guide them, and that gets you into a lot of trouble. And then when you look at, again, the reduction of human to material, that is an object for manipulation for personal gain, is one that is a very self-serving relationship. And so I talk about often to students and also to my children that if there is someone in a relationship with you, but they're not relating to you, they simply want something from you, even when it becomes sexual, it's a masturbatory relationship with somebody being present. And so we can often have these self-gratifying relationships that really are not about the relationship at all. It's really about self-satisfaction. So we see that narrative playing itself out
around the complexity of this particular situation of R. Kelly.
That's the part that made it so sick. He was preying on young girls who wanted a future in the music business. And he would sell the moms and the dads. I remember talking to the dad, asking, what made you allow your daughter at 16 to fly to Atlanta? He said, at the same time, my daughter really wants to be an artist. Right. So as a dad or a mom, I want to support my kid. Now for me, I would have went with the girl.
Exactly.
So you say this, right? Everybody says this, and this is some points that my homeboys were saying as well. That I would have went with him, right? But we're not, but just period, right? Because R. Kelly is not the only person that sold somebody a dream, right? And they winded up trusting their kids to go somewhere, and R. Kelly has been the person that come out to speak, that people have come out to tell their story about it. But don't get it twisted, I guarantee you this happens a lot more often than we talk about, right? So my question to you is, I think that not in question, I think the thing that we leave out and that we don't take into consideration is the socioeconomic situation, right? Because it's so easy to say, hey, I would have went out there with him. But how you gonna do that when you got a house full of kids and then now you gotta work and you gotta provide for them?
No, because if you can fly her out there, you can fly us out there.
I'm with you. But I'm saying everybody else says that, yo, they would, but it's more complicated.
But I think you're right from the standpoint that people who are in positions of poverty take higher risks. It's why you see more poor kids that still let their kids play football than wealthy kids. Poverty creates a desperation that says, I am willing to do something that rich people have options not to do.
Humans have just 2 or 3 basic needs, and one, of course, is water, food, and then some even include sex in the conversation. Everything else outside of that is simply something that's used to gain either one of those 3 things. And so we see that that's clearly the case here, that something is used for some personal gain, and underneath that is this idea of how am I identified as a person, or how do I become a person? How do I become human? How do I become honored as a human being outside of not having these things? And so we associate humanity with how much money you have, or we associate manhood with how many women that you can have sexually, or we associate value and worth with even the kind of foods that we consume. And so the reality is that this idea of socioeconomic status influencing the process, it influences almost every relationship that we engage in.
They've done studies where the view of black girls, they always say that black girls project older. That people read them as older. And when they give them scenarios, they'll do, risk groups or whatever, where they'll do scenarios, and they'll have a black girl and a girl that's not of color, and they'll assume that the black girl is older or that she was more aware of her actions.
At the time we have to grow up faster.
We have to grow up faster. And why is that, though? I think it's so frustrating sometimes. Yeah. It's so frustrating. But I think that kind of leads to situations like with the R. Kelly situation or the Aaliyah situation, because I've heard it time and time again. She knew, or she knew, or her parents knew. Why would you think they knew?
Yeah, I mean, well, from my understanding, he was helping her career, right, her end. But it's just not right. Her parents knew. There's no way that they wouldn't know. I mean, come on.
But I feel like they want your kids to make it so bad, and they're kind of like they're blindfolded. They're the bird box.
At the same time, her uncle was Barry Hankerson. Okay, so he's already in the industry, and they're probably thinking that that's a layer of defense. Like we've got an uncle figure here, and this was happening under his nose. Like he trusted, like he's not gonna have his, baby niece with a pedophile, but he did, but he didn't even know.
But did he not know? Because I feel like everybody around him.
The minute that they came out, that marriage was annulled.
That's true.
That marriage was annulled, and she was far away from him, and it was done.
I just can't see how you don't really know what's right underneath your nose. Like you're in the studio with him, like you see the reaction and his body language. I don't feel like R. Kelly hid anything.
But you gotta remember, this is the first time that we're even hearing about R. Kelly with Aaliyah. Now these other parents that are coming around in 2011 and 2013 and 14. Talking about I brought my 17-year-old to a concert, and then he pulled my 17-year-old on stage.
Yeah.
Are you
just
crazy?
Let him go backstage. Like I didn't understand that part.
You shouldn't even been at the concert.
That's true.
Much less bring your daughter on the concert. Much less he said, let's bring him on.
We call that the triple P diagnosis. It's called piss poor parenting. So like.
What happened in the circles around R. Kelly? What did or didn't happen? to me is something that speaks to Black community. And so, you know, I'm not a trier of fact. I'm not a judge. But I think about the R. Kelly situation, and I think to myself, how have Black people, this is always my question, how have Black people resolved these kind of issues over time and space? And it seems to me that these type of issues have been resolved internally for millennia, not just decades and centuries, generations, but millennia. And having a sister, having a mother, having nieces, having nephews, uncles, fathers. If my sister or if my niece had been one of the people who was at R. Kelly's house, you may be doing this interview from the penitentiary, brother. And not only am I not in the minority, my question is, what kind of narrative creates the idea that Black people don't do that?
He did his dirt. Everybody always say if you do your dirt trying to hide, when you get caught, it's always way more suspicious. But he did his dirt in plain sight. Like, I was talking to my wife and she was like, that was R. Kelly on Aaliyah's album cover in the back.
Yes.
Lurking. I had to look that up. I was like, yo, he's literally standing on the wall back looking like a creep from behind.
Out of focus.
Yeah, out of focus.
Well, I'm one of those people that once I heard about the tape, and I might be one of the few people who never saw it. But once I heard about it and I understood that it was a 14-year-old child, I just stopped dealing with R. Kelly. Like, I stopped supporting him then.
So you stopped supporting him, but if you came to a club I was DJing there at that moment, I played Step in the Name of Love, did you stop dancing?
I mean, I'm not a dancer anyway, so I get what you're saying.
It was a party of life.
Hey, let me ask you this though. So this is another thing like that we're not really talking about. A lot of this stuff happened before the 24-hour news cycle in the age of social media. So if R. Kelly happened in 2015 and it went viral, then people probably would have pressed down because things are being reported a different way now. Absolutely. But since it happened all the way back in the 90s and the early 2000s, and everybody didn't see the tape. If the tape came out now, everybody would see the tape. It'd be on your Twitter feed 30 times.
Time out. Everybody didn't see the tape.
This is what I'm saying. I'm saying if the tape came out around 2015 versus the tape people who saw the tape, you had to go to a flea market or somewhere. You had to buy. I don't even know if it was DVDs or not. Like, I don't know. It was VHS, so it's like you had to go. So you had to put effort into it.
The only person I know that said they haven't seen the tape.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Like, I couldn't even imagine, like, I'm a dad's dad. Like, my kids are my life. So I couldn't even imagine a family thinking that something like this happened to one of my kids.
My upbringing growing up, I come from a Nigerian household, and so my parents don't play. I could never be left with a man alone. They didn't care what type of gifts I was trying to explore. If I was going to be a singer, they'd be like, okay, I'll be right there with you. They didn't care. And that mentality is something that I carry with me and my children right now. I do believe, I remember there was this one comment from one of the mothers that said, she was 18, she was an adult, so I just let her go. I prayed for her and I wished her the best. As a Nigerian, you're not an adult. You could be 35 and you're still a kid.
Luckily, my mother was always very protective of me and my sister. So we had rules growing up. Like, there were, you don't sit on people's laps, you don't spend the night at people's houses. Like, she checked out everybody, and we still call her worst case scenario. Because, like, legit, if you go into Walmart, she'd be like, be careful. Somebody could be hiding under your car. Like, it's 8 o'clock at night. I'm grown. Like, look, I'm time enough for anybody that's trying to come. I'm from Baltimore, too, right? But she was, listen, but because of that, she kind of put a little bit of hypervigilance in me where I was always, I did things that other teenage girls did too.
So the part that really struck me was like, from a therapist perspective, it's like he thought he was going to protect his daughter. He did everything. He got off of work. He went down to the hotel, all this other stuff. And before we judge these fathers, it's like, man, think about what they go through, Because he thought he was going to protect his daughter, and then now he has to swallow that pill of vulnerability of like, I didn't do it good enough. And now she's here. Like, as a father, that part ate me apart. Like, I was devastated. Like, I would feel like I failed my daughter. And I don't know how I would deal with that. And this is me as a therapist talking, So
here's the part that's so scary about that. When I had the dad on the show and I asked him that, I said, so my first question was, what made you take because she was 16 at the time, what made you take your 16-year-old daughter to an R. Kelly concert with your wife? And he explained to me his daughter tried to commit suicide, things like that. But on top of that, I said, at the point when R. Kelly pointed to your daughter and said, come on stage. Now, it was him, his wife, and his daughter. Wife looks like she may be 30, pretty face, nice body. The 16-year-old girl that came on stage, she looked 14. Looked like she had on a school dress. I mean, she just looked like a little kid. I said, at that point, as a dad, at that point, you didn't know he was trying to actually give your daughter a career, or now we know the worst. At what point when he said, and I'm singing Bump and Grind, and I look out in the crowd and I say, I want her on stage. As a dad, what made you say, go ahead up there, baby? Because me as a dad, if it's me, my wife, and my daughter, and I'm at a Trey Songz show, and he says, I want her, go somewhere else.
I just don't, I'm like you. I don't want to victim blame a father who's already dealing with enough, but there was enough information about R. Kelly at the time to make you feel at least uncomfortable with giving him access to your daughter.
There's a lot of people that were sitting back critiquing him also from the perspective of how they were taking the legal route to handle things, you know what I'm saying? And we always talk about, yo, if that was me, if that was me. Like, cause when I was watching the movie, I'm like, yo, if I flew all the way out to Chicago, ain't no door gonna stop me from getting in that studio. Like, I'm gonna break the door down, I'm gonna go through the window or something. When you throwing those rocks, I'm gonna be climbing up a ladder to go through that window. If I flew all the way out here for that, this structure is not stopping me from getting in there. We just wanted to, I might lose it all, but I'm gonna gain the one thing I came for, right? But a lot of people was critiquing the fathers about them taking the legal route. Can you say as a father, as a father or aspiring to be fathers, that you would have took that same legal route?
No, you know what scares me? You know what scares me? What scares me is he was smart enough at a certain point to date girls young enough to be young, but old enough to be legal. Right. And as a dad, what scares me is the thought that if my daughter starts to date a dude that I don't like, and she in love with him, at some point there's only so much I can do legally. And my hope is that I've been enough of a dad that she'll listen. But at some point, your daughter can tell you to go to hell. And in many cases, these parents were dealing with legally aged children. You hear what I said? They were legal, but they were children who made decisions that legally they couldn't fight. And that was, to me, the Machiavellian, just despicable brilliance of his treachery. Because he stopped messing with 15-year-olds, and he started dating with 17.
By the time it came out, you were 18.
But y'all not answering my question.
But even 17.
My question, I understand what he did, and I understand what makes it
work
difficult.
on them until and then had them cut their family off once they became 18.
So let me answer your question.
So he had 3 or 4 years to mentally control them.
So right now, I would have said something differently before I talked to the dad. So when the dad was on my show, I said to him, I'm watching the thing and you got your wife throwing the rocks up there. Why you ain't just bust through the door, take a gun and shoot him in his head and take your daughter? Because that's what I'm thinking. The street mentality to me is saying, if somebody harms my daughter, my job as a dad is to protect first, provide second. So if I know this guy's bringing my daughter harm, I'm not thinking about the justice system at that point. So when I said that to him, he said, quick, you realize I have 5 other kids. So right now, if I was to do what you see, he said, everybody in my social media, you know, social media, if you see it on the internet, it's real. We believe that shit for some reason. Right. He said, so everybody right now is in my comments saying, I'm the dumb dad. I saw the show. Why didn't you break that door down and go through that window and take your daughter? And if you had to take your gun, he said, if I go right now and kill R. Kelly, it's no longer about my daughter. It's now, that's the guy who killed R. Kelly.
I do know that as parents, sometimes we can only do but so much. But I hope that this documentary on R. Kelly shows people that a parent's job is never done. You can't just assume that an adult will have your child's interest at their heart, because they won't. You have to make sure you're always around your children and you protect them with everything you have.
The majority of the time when you meet guys through social media. But do you ever have older guys try to creep into your DMs?
Yeah.
Not you, your friends.
Yeah.
Not you in particular.
I don't really know about my friends, but I know I've seen it before in mine. Yeah.
And you ignore it.
They're like in my request though, because it's 2 parts too.
Wait, so you know, like doing the R. Kelly documentary, how they were saying that he would have his friends go to the mall and go pick up young girls, and then bring the young girls back to him. So like when you guys are at the mall, like you and your girlfriends, like the guys, like
I don't go to the mall.
You don't go to the mall, dang, mama.
I let you hang out.
Right.
Wait a minute, I let you hang out with your friends. This past Saturday, I let you go to a party, but I don't like to let her go to a lot of things because people are just crazy. I'm scared somebody might snatch her or.
Yeah. You share from your own personal experience that, I mean, you've had issues before when you were younger about guys, and not the best issues. Does it kind of, has it translated to her like you're a little bit more protective?
I am. You know, just recently, my daughter and I were asked to do the red table with Jada and her mom, and I was in a relationship that was like abusive, and you know, so I don't want my daughter to go through those things, and you know, we just kind of spoke up about it, and then I found out some things that, you know, about her that I didn't know, you know, with that. So it's like I am probably a little too overprotective, but you know, I have my reasons. You know, I've been through things. She's seen me go through things. So it's like I don't know what I would do if my child went through some of the things I've been through, and then also to deal with just like the whole R. Kelly thing, and you know, and then with that being said too, I'm just like, you know, he needs some help. Yeah. R. Kelly needs some help. You know, my ex when I went through that, he needed some help. You know, he said to me like, Chris, you know, I have a problem. Yeah, you do.
And so many times in the black community, we do that kind of protection discourse, and we can separate certain behaviors from others because we say that that's him, that's that, but that's not what we're doing right here. Right now, we're taking care of music. The part of your question speaks to responsibility. That is, what is our responsibility to not only the craft, but also to the community? And I think that that's a deeper question that we have to always ask, and that is the craft, the people that come together because it's just music. But if I'm still interacting with someone who is bad for the community, then as a result, I am perpetuating a pathology in the community, which then means that I'm not doing my community much good. And so I'm benefiting from the craft, but in reality, I'm destroying the community in which my craft is gaining some level of agency. So we have to force all of our individuals to challenge themselves to think about who you're really spending your time with.
With R. Kelly right now, right? People couldn't, they say, for me, not even for me, I've heard the conversation for people, they could separate Bill Cosby and Philip Huxtable. Because Philip Huxtable was the character, they still like the character, it's not Bill Cosby. Their heart is with Philip Huxtable, not Bill Cosby. Can you separate R. Kelly and the music?
I can't, but I had that same argument on my show because people made that same analogy, and I said, this is the gift of curse of bringing entertainment as an actor or a singer or something like that, because what happens is the same way you still love the character of Bill Cosby, it can be another character that you fall in love on TV that you hate because you think that he or she is a villain. And then when you meet him in real life, you ever watch a movie you hated somebody so bad? I remember, what's my guy, Lawrence Fishburne said when he played Ike Turner on What's Love Got to Do With It. He said,
I'm glad you got Ike Turner right. I said Phil Huxtable.
So I got you.
I'm glad Larry didn't get me on that.
I got you. So, but he said when I played Ike Turner, that was the worst year of my life because I did such an amazing job acting as Ike Turner that people would see me in the streets and hate me. They would see me and cuss me out. He said I was somewhere and somebody was throwing stuff at me like, how could you do that to her? He like, Tina Turner, like, I was acting. So that's the gift and the curse of being in that business. But however, I can't separate because this is me personally. I love R. Kelly's music to this day. I can go down the catalog of songs that if it came on right now, I would try my hardest not to hit my foot and sing it. But as a dad and as a man, I can't respect him anymore. So for that reason, I can't separate.
So not only do you still play his music?
No, not at all.
Not even if they paid you for the party?
Period.
Sorry, Jeff.
I don't need the money. I've never played an R. Kelly record since the documentary.
So if the mother of the bride came and said, can you play Step in the Name of Love right now?
Absolutely not. I'm sorry, man. I'll get you another DJ. I have a slew of DJs to work for me. I can send you one. I know I can't.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Jeff. I'm sorry.
But because I think it's an important question, right? And a lot of us are talking about it. But so when I think about Miles Davis beating Cicely Tyson's ass, I don't hear his music as a soundtrack to beating her ass. When I think about Heathcliff Huxtable, he wasn't drugging chicks on the Cosby Show. He wasn't doing that with Fat Albert. He wasn't doing that with Little Bill. R. Kelly's music was a soundtrack to the damn abuse. And so I'm confused about separating, and I get that there are 3 songs or 4 songs that were the anomaly. But the vast catalog was like, yo, let me show you how I do this. And so for me, right. So
people separate the art from the artist when it's convenient, but they definitely got their picks and choices.
Yeah, so I guess with Cosby, it's a conflict for me because Heathcliff Huxtable never did what Bill did. And R. Kelly did everything he said. And so for me, that's why. How do you separate the two?
Can you separate it?
Yeah, I can separate it.
So you can still listen to R. Kelly, but not like him because of what he did?
What I mean by the separation is the difference because Quick is in the music business. You know what I mean? So what he plays or what he plays on the station, that's his persona. You know what I mean? From an R. Kelly fan, it's like, it's very hard. You know what I mean? If the Fiesta video come on, you're going to think more of Jay-Z than you're going to think of R. Kelly. If Nas came on with the R. Kelly remix, you're going to think of Nas' song more than R. Kelly singing a hook. I think it's a time and process. I think the songs that we think about when R. Kelly's singing about sex and this and that, or if it's the Leah song where he produced, that's out.
So
it's
you say
deleted.
you can keep the happy stuff, but get rid of the bad?
It's a process. That's all. You got to be real with yourself, though. You have to be real with yourself.
So all of us here abandoned R. Kelly. None of us are listening to it anymore at any of our events. Persian, you're not playing it on the radio anymore. But how do we feel about the people who continue to work with him? Lady Gaga said no more. All these people stood up and said they would never.
Because he wrote a lot of songs for them.
Yeah.
I you know what? I applaud them for speaking up now, but I also am side-eyeing the folks who knew everything all along. And it took for them to come out with a documentary for them to say, "Oh no, we're not talking to him no more. We're not going to play any of his music, and also we're not going to perform any of his music." Now these are the folks who knew all this stuff. Like Lady Gaga knew when she made the record.
Already made the money. She made that record like last week.
That's what I'm saying. So she knew what it was, but it took for this. So you know what? I think now everybody's woke up a little bit. So I can just say the people who did not speak up, like, they got to do better. And those are the people that we have to also side eye because they probably did the same things that he was doing. We just don't have it on tape.
Right.
Like, and video don't lie.
Yeah. Everything in a jar comes to the light.
Yeah.
I think that we all knew, we all had an idea of what he was doing and what was going on, but the documentary just really made us just see it. Like, oh my God, like this is really bad.
Undeniable.
Yes, like, okay, we can't ignore it anymore. And that's when more people started to say, okay, we can't work with him anymore.
Yeah.
But at first it was like, oh, you did it, maybe, I don't know. But now to actually see the victims and hear their stories, it's like, okay, this is real.
We knew about it when the video came out years ago.
Yeah.
And then you never liked R. Kelly, so you was like, he been canceled forever for you. Even though
When graduating, and he had to sing that song. I didn't want to sing that song. I knew I couldn't fly, so why would I can't sing the song?
But you was like, you know,
I hated fly. She said I'm a walk. I want to walk. I know I can't fly, and I just hated the song. I really hate. I mean, I just not a fan. I'm sorry.
You didn't like I Believe I Can Fly?
No, it annoyed me.
I just don't know.
He had a little things that just wasn't gonna happen.
But there were articles too, and I feel like that was another thing that, you know, it would like re-up my hate for him, is because I would read these articles where, you know, every couple of years you would hear more and more and more and more. So I like that, at least with this documentary, it's all strung together.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I was always getting piece by piece by piece because I did a morning radio show. And so when I was doing that, like I was more so immersed in this. And so I would just read this. I was like, how is he still walking around?
Why does it always take so much? Like even here with Bill Cosby, there were dozens of women that came forward. R. Kelly, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, so many women. It takes it's almost like it has to become undeniable.
Money off of you. The machine does not want to see you fail.
Yeah.
So now we probably will see R. Kelly go to trial because he got dropped from his label.
There you go.
Yeah.
And the machine is like, oh, you're not making me any money?
Absolutely.
Well, sorry.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Bill Cosby.
Right.
I think when it came out before with the tape and everything, we weren't so engaged in. I don't even think social media probably existed.
Right.
Now you can take a video and put it out there and it goes viral in less than 1 minute. And so many people see this. So it's not, so let's say you put it on, years ago they would put it on the news and it would take time and it would just die down. But now it's just, it goes viral and it's just going here, and it's just like, it's hard for it to just go away.
And then people trying to download it and then wait for their startup and the internet is not connected.
So in this room, we're saying collectively, we meet R. Kelly. We're done.
Oh,
we're done.
Never
Hashtag mute R. Kelly.
I'm sorry, because we know you've never believed you could fly.
I've never played R. Kelly, I don't think. Have I ever? No.
Tell us, Elena.
She'll tell you.
I want to get someone with Elena here.
I play Beyonce all the time.
Well, who knows? She went out.
Beyonce.
I play R. Kelly and I'm mad because I get married next year and I was.
Congratulations.
It came on in the car. Step in the Name of Love came on one day. And
song.
I was so mad at him. Like, I can't even step in the Name of Love anymore.
You can do the Cupid shuffle now.
That's what we're gonna do. Right.
Do you feel differently, and I'll leave with this. When you talked about R. Kelly, right? We talked about, can you separate the man and music? Do you view the people that did music with him after that differently after this? Or do you compartmentalize it and say, oh, that's just R. Kelly?
I know what's on your mind. You like Jigga, Kelly, not guilty.
After the documentary?
Because they actually had an insider's view that we probably didn't have. A lot of the people in the industry already knew.
But they already knew. Chance the
MO.
DMX said that he actually saw R. Kelly
Tamir
in the
went on
studio
tour with
with
him.
a young
And the
girl.
thing, like, do you look at those people now? Do your perspective of them has it changed?
That's a good question, and I'm gonna say honestly, Jay-Z being one. Jay-Z is one of my favorite people and rappers, period. Do I look at Jay-Z differently now? They had an album, Best of Both Worlds, together. I don't, because I honestly believe, and I could be wrong, I honestly don't think all those people knew all the demons. I think we all heard the rumors and we all started speculation. Was Jay-Z in the room with him when he was banging or peeing on a 13-year-old? I don't believe so. Was Jay-Z one of the guys who put a room in his name? Because R. Kelly wasn't flying these girls out under Robert Kelly, putting them in a hotel under Robert Kelly. Was Jay-Z involved in that? I don't think so. He might have. I don't have proof that he was. Now, if something came out that on the Best of Both Worlds tour, they were having threesomes with 13-year-olds, and some proof came out that it was real, at that point, I would never look at Jay-Z the same anymore. But right now, all we have is well, I can't even say speculation because I don't know if these people, I don't know what they knew. I know for a fact. So if I give you a prime example right now. Right now, all of us, you know me for 25 years. And you've known me, you've been in my house, I've been to your house, we know each other's family and kids. But there's still certain things about my life that you don't know. There's certain things in my life. I've known Jeff, we've been in the industry and been panelists decades. But there's certain things about Jeff I know I don't know. I know Biddy, I done bought stuff from him, but it's Larry Land, he done performed in my club. But there's stuff about him I know I don't know. So if something came out right now that Larry Lancaster is a pedophile, and Quicksilver booked him, but listen, I'm saying, but Quicksilver booked him at his club. That means that Quicksilver, he booked him at his club, so he's just as guilty. I didn't know that. I thought the brother was funny. I don't know that. I don't know that Jeff, in his spare time, likes to actually look at child porn. I don't know that. I've never been in a position where I would. So if it came out, am I guilty by association because Jeff's my friend?
Don't let that be the soundbite.
No, Jeff don't like porn, y'all. He don't like child pornography.
In those terms until you pose the question.
Because I don't know.
I'll say this. I think that's a really good question, but I think it's the question that damns all of us. And I think that there was enough out about R. Kelly for people of conscience not to do business with him. But he made money. And people looked the other way to make the money. Just like a lot of us look the other way to listen to the music. And that is, I think, what really is the point. So many of us look the other way to do the shit we liked at the cost of lives and families and futures. And if any of us are going to be different, I don't think the question is, do we demonize Jay or do we demonize Lady Gaga or do we demonize Chance? The question is, will we stop looking the other way for convenience and profit? And if we aren't willing to do that, how the hell can we demonize somebody else?
So Jack, you honestly think Michael Jackson knew You Are Not Alone was about him raping the girl and her having the kid?
I don't think Michael Jackson knew much about shit. So
That's my point. We don't know this stuff.
See, the genius of Western civilization is creating an artificial morality play out of culture and then hiding itself as the villain of the piece. Never forget that we go to school and learn a curriculum, a Western-style curriculum, where some of the most heinous acts in human history are valorized as acts of heroism. Our children read about Oedipus, a man that killed his father and slept with his mother. He met a tragedy. That's a Greek tragedy, brother. They read Romeo and Juliet. These are two teenagers defying their families. So by the time you layer over all this Western pathology, read about Zeus taking Hera from behind, or King Lear, or Richard III. I mean, this is the definition of misogyny. So then when you then enslave a bunch of people, strip them of their cultural values and insert that type of pathology, you're bound to wound up with something like, I don't know, R. Kelly.
I think we have to be very clear. When it comes to people of color, especially Black people, we have to really think critically and deeply about who and what we celebrate. You can't sit here and condemn Robert Kelly for his actions when there's music that continues to serve as a tool and a vehicle for misogyny. You can't sit here and say, yes, what Robert Kelly did was wrong, but then there's music that continues to prey on women. So as a culture, I think we need to have a deeper and a larger conversation about our expectations from our artists. What do we choose to celebrate? Whom do we choose to celebrate? Because while Robert Kelly did something that is completely vile and vicious, there are lyrics that are doing things to the mental capacity of our youth that are vile and vicious. And how are we holding those people accountable?
I'm here to talk to the fellas, man. We're gonna get to the bottom of the situation about this R. Kelly talking about this and that.
She came through and blessed us with her knowledge, her wisdom. She lent us all those school years of education and finances.
Hi. How are you? Thanks, girl. Hair's cute.
What's up, fellas?
What's up, bro?
This is why crime is down tonight, huh?
Yeah. This is 7 o'clock p.m. appointment for the man weave.
Hey, Jesse, you got a man weave.
I'm here for a nose hair project. I'm getting old. Gotta get the hair on my ears and nose and all that.
Yo, the man weave is crazy, man.
Man weave is crazy, man.
Yeah, crazy. We have to, as men bow out 160, it's not for us.
Yeah,
it's not for us.
I can't sanction the man weave, son.